There is a widespread assumption in both parenting and clinical circles. Digital screen time universally arrests adolescent brain development. Since the mid-20th century, psychologists have used Jean Piaget's formal operational stage as the baseline for healthy adolescent cognition. This is the developmental period when a teenager builds advanced abstract reasoning and complex problem-solving skills. Cognitive science requires us to look past the broad brush of digital rot. We have to measure specific cognitive domains against specific digital inputs. The 2025 systematic review by Nike et al. Provides the definitive dataset for this. A systematic review is a rigorous research method that synthesizes all available empirical studies on a highly specific topic. Their compiled data proves that social media does not universally degrade cognition. Instead, the impact is highly domain-specific and relies entirely on platform architecture. To isolate the facts from the panic, the researchers filtered the literature using PRISMA 2020 guidelines. PRISMA is a standard methodology designed to ensure transparent and complete reporting in scientific reviews. They began with a massive initial data pool of nearly 14,000 studies pulled from 7 distinct databases. The researchers then aggressively culled the data, excluding irrelevant populations, non-empirical formats, and unrelated outcomes. This left exactly 23 high-quality studies for the final review. To understand the results, we must look at the exact digital environments these 23 studies analyzed. This chart shows the specific breakdown of platforms studied in the literature. More than half of the research focused heavily on Facebook and WhatsApp, while platforms with entirely different architectures, like TikTok, received minimal coverage. Treating a text-based app and an algorithmic short video feed as a single variable invalidates the research. You must isolate the specific digital inputs to understand the cognitive output. We can map these specific effects across a 4-quadrant cognitive matrix. We begin with the first domain, selective attention. Selective attention is an organism's baseline ability to recognize and respond to specific environmental changes while actively filtering out background noise. High-intensity media multitasking fractures this capacity. When a user constantly shifts between different feeds and rapid-fire push notifications, the brain's filtering system is overwhelmed. The simultaneous use of multiple social platforms measurably reduces the baseline attention spans of young adults. This finding directly intersects with clinical concerns regarding attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. ADHD is a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by persistent patterns of inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. The data clarifies a common misconception. High-intensity social media use does not generate ADHD out of nowhere in neurotypical adolescents. However, for those already diagnosed with ADHD, heavy social media use significantly exacerbates their existing symptoms. In the attention domain, platform architecture acts as a vulnerability multiplier for individuals already struggling to maintain focus. We move to the second domain, executive functioning. Executive function covers these high-level cognitive processes, including complex problem-solving, rapid cognitive flexibility, and inhibitory control, the brain's ability to suppress impulsive behavior. Here, the critical variable is clinical social media addiction, not casual screen time. Compulsive addiction-level usage correlates directly with severely diminished inhibitory control. It creates a cyclical feedback loop, where heavy use breeds impulsivity, which in turn degrades the ability to log off. This internal impairment translates into measurable, real-world decision-making deficits. We see this verified in psychological assessments like the Iowa Gambling Task. The Iowa Gambling Task is a behavioral test used to simulate real-life decision-making and measure risk aversion, and excessive social media users consistently perform poorly on it. Addictive platform loops actively degrade the brain's executive management system. The third domain is memory, and this is where the research results completely diverge. There are clear negative correlations. Platforms like TikTok and WhatsApp link directly to decreased working memory and short-term recall. Consuming rapid-fire, high-turnover content causes cognitive overload, forcing the brain to process too much disconnected information to successfully consolidate memories. Conversely, other studies show healthy adolescents demonstrating complete cognitive resilience, registering zero significant impact on memory regardless of their screen time. In some cases, platforms like YouTube and Facebook actually enhanced memory performance when users engaged with educational content. Memory outcomes depend entirely on the specific context of the platform. Passive scrolling impairs recall, while active, educational engagement can strengthen it. Finally, we reach the fourth quadrant, language development. The data here points to an objectively positive outcome. Peer-to-peer digital communication enhances language skills in young adults. This chart details the specific improvements. Researchers recorded measurable gains, with users scoring high in enhanced communication skills and increased confidence in writing English. These linguistic gains are highly specific to peer-to-peer interactions, rather than formal student-teacher digital dynamics. Text-based platforms provide high-frequency environments, where adolescents regularly practice written articulation, actively building their overall communication confidence in the real world. If we synthesize these four quadrants, a specific adolescent profile emerges. The modern digital adolescent is highly communicatively fluent, but often deficient in sustained attention and inhibitory control. Yet there is an epistemological bottleneck that threatens the validity of this entire cognitive model. 18 of the 23 studies included in the Nike review rely entirely on cross-sectional data. A cross-sectional study is an observational research method that analyzes data from a population at a single specific point in time. Because they capture a single snapshot, cross-sectional studies can prove correlation, but they cannot prove causation. We know social media addiction and poor executive function appear together, but does the platform degrade a teenager's impulse control, or do teenagers with low impulse control naturally gravitate toward addictive platforms? Until the scientific community resolves the specific vector of causality, clinical guidelines are operating on an incomplete map. There is a glaring blind spot in the current literature. We have virtually no rigorous data analyzing digital usage in children under 9 years old. This is a period of immense neuroplasticity. Missing data during the window when the brain's cognitive foundation is poured is a critical oversight. The paper issues a final directive. Researchers must implement long-term longitudinal cohort studies. A longitudinal cohort study tracks the exact same group of individuals repeatedly over a period of years to observe how variables affect them over time. They also demand the use of randomized controlled trials. A randomized controlled trial is an experiment that randomly assigns participants to different conditions to strictly isolate cause and effect. The generalized myth of digital rot is obsolete. To optimize the cognitive architecture of the next generation, we must map precise, platform-specific science.